Hi everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Coffee and Oil. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the important things to remember before you even leave the dock, as well as a few navigational tips to keep in mind once you're underway. So Chris, let's start with you. In your role each and every day you're talking to boaters. What are some of the things you tell them to keep in mind before they even step foot on the boat?
Well, one of the most important things is to check the weather. And that sounds very rudimentary, but weather can pop up at any time. An afternoon thunderstorm, if there's a big chance of thunderstorms or a breeze coming in the afternoon, that is a big deal. Checking your bilge pumps, make sure they work properly. Checking the oil in your engines, checking hoses, make sure you don't have any leaks. Make sure your bilge plug is in, that's a big one. Making sure you have plenty of fuel, that's a thing that people don't always check.
I've made that mistake before.
Yeah, we see lots of boats getting towed in. People just plain ran out of fuel.
That brings up a really good point. So towing in, what resources are available to people for towing?
Sea-Tow and Boat US, they're both good companies. A lot of insurance companies have that as part of their policy that they pay for towing. So check your policy and you should be up to date and know what's going on there.
What about any restrictions? You drive a car, you have to have a driver's license. Is there anything that's equivalent to that with boating?
Yes, a lot of states now you're required to have a Coast Guard Safe Boating Certificate.
Okay.
You can take an online class, or there's quite a few places, well, in our local area, Coast Guard Auxiliary offers classes. A lot of marinas will offer classes. I strongly recommend that you take the class, not online, but take the class. The people are teaching, they're longtime boaters, so they can pass those experiences on to you.
You've got a lot of experience and time in the water. You spent 4 years in the Coast Guard.
I did, yes. 2 years in Alaska and 2 years in Buffalo, New York.
Ooh, nice warm places,
yes,
right?
Yes, exactly.
I can imagine that experience taught you a lot about what you should do on the water and, more importantly, what people should not do on the water, right?
It does. And one of the biggest things is, I like to call it, is the wake rule. You know, you're responsible for your wake. And I don't know how many times being in the marina, I see a boat come flying by and all the boats start rocking in the marina. You know, you're responsible. If you damage a boat, you're responsible. If you see there's somebody there fishing, you know, go slow by them, you know, cut them a break. I mean, expect that courtesy back. Always be alert of your surroundings. There's a lot of paddle boarders out there, kayakers. You know, you come around the corner, always be prepared, be alert. You know, alcohol will impede that.
Absolutely. So on that note, what are some other common mistakes that you see people making on the water?
Knowing the basic rules of the road.
Okay.
These charts, we keep them on our test boats, and you can get them at West Marine, but it's good to have it in the boat so you can refer to it. Chart plotters are great to do, electronics are fantastic, but always have a set of paper charts and always review those. It's good to look at the chart ahead of time so you know where you're going once you get in there. So just prepare ahead of time.
Other things, when you're on the water, the reflection of the sun off the water is almost like getting double sun. So sunscreen, that sounds simple, but it's important. Keeping hydrated. And touching on what we said about alcohol. You get dehydrated, you drink alcohol, it's going to affect you much worse, much quicker.
One of the things that people find most intimidating about the boating experience is docking the boat. What advice do you guys have for someone that might have that feeling, might have that fear of docking?
Go slow. You can always correct things when you go slow. If you don't get it right the first time, come back out and do it again. Tell everyone that's helping you dock, keep your hands inside the boat. We can fix fiberglass. I'm not a doctor, I can't fix bones. Some other simple things like a first aid kit. Everybody on board should know where the first aid kit is, where the safety kit is, where your flares are. If there is an emergency and you're in charge and you can't respond, they need to know where everything is so they can help.
Well, gentlemen, thank you both so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Here at Volvo Penta, we're all about making boating easier, but it's up to each one of us individually to make it safer. Always be prepared with the proper equipment, a solid game plan, as Bob said, and a licensed driver who's familiar with the rules of the waterway. If you have any questions or comments for our experts here today, please feel free to comment in the comments section or share ideas for future episodes of Coffee and Oil. Until then, thank you.